Hi there.
Hello and welcome to Sugar and.
Spice.
So it was nice to know that you enjoyed the stories we posted earlier. So we are back with more, and this time Deepthi gets to go first.
Yeah. So this time we've come up with really light-hearted short stories, so that you can quickly grab a listen. Yeah. So my story is from Maharashtra. It's a folk tale, and it talks about this person who has this magnificent beard. Okay. Now that beard is in fashion, right, Shrija?
It is, it is.
Yeah.
All
So
kinds of
all
beards.
kinds of beards, yes. So this man had a wonderful which he used to be very very proud of. He used to keep his beard really trimmed and nice, and he used to flaunt it wherever he went. And he always thought it's a sign of intelligence. He was very very proud of his beard. So it so happened that one day he was reading a book, and in the book, you know, he kept on reading where he reached a line where it said, "A man with a long beard is a fool." And this, really made him feel, oh my God, what I thought all these years, the beard that I was flaunting with so much pride, what is the book saying? Can it be true? He thought over it for a while. Maybe it's not true. Maybe just the book says it. But it just kept disturbing him. The whole idea of, this intelligence which he was proud of because of the beard. He had that intelligent look. But the book says something else. And usually the books don't lie. And book must have been written by somebody great. So he started to believe what the book said, and he thought, I think I should get rid of my beard. That was like such a huge decision for him to make, because that was his greatest asset, he thought. He said, no, now I have to get rid of this. And he was actually reading the book under the light of a candle. And he decided that he is going to burn off his beard. Yeah. And he kept the candle towards his beard, and the beard caught fire. And then, as you would imagine, he started feeling the heat, and he immediately knew he had done something really foolish. And he started running about here and there. The beard slowly caught up the fire, and his mustache, everything, his hair also caught fire. And by the time, his hair was half burnt, his neighbors heard his cries, and they came running and, poured water on him, and they extinguished the fire. By then, he looked all weird, and he was just sitting with his hand on his head. And the neighbors asked, what did you do? What happened? No, actually, what happened? Tell us. She said, no, I just happened to read in a book that a man with a long beard is a fool, and I just proved it. So
Okay.
it's a very light-hearted, funny folk tale which I came across. I thought it will be a
Yeah,
nice,
no, very,
light
very.
listen.
Folktales have this knack of, they come with that punch, and
Yeah.
it's very interesting to listen to. It's a really cute one.
So the next story is by Shrija. Shrija, go ahead.
Yeah, this is also another very cute, I should say, folk tale, and this is one about a farmer. So this farmer, he had a normal yield every year, but that particular year he had a very good yield of turnips, and they were so good, and the vegetables were long and creamy and juicy. Just looking at them, people's mouths would water, and they told the farmer that you have such a beautiful yield, you're very lucky. And he was happy. There were a few more days before the actual harvest had to happen, and he wanted to sell them for a good price. So he was very proud of it, and he spent the whole day looking after them and tending to them, making sure that they were not they didn't get spoiled. Now, one morning when he reached his field as usual, he was shocked to find that there was a sizable chunk of the field where there were no turnips. The turnips had been stolen by someone, and he was shocked. He wondered, my God, who could do this in the village? Who could do this to me when they know that this is important to me? And the next day it happened again. And his wife and he and the children had a discussion. They had to do something about this because they would lose all their turnips. And when he asked around, nobody seemed to have. They said, "Why would we touch your turnips?" So after they discussed, he decided to stay up the whole night in the field to watch and see who the culprit was and to catch the person red-handed. So he set up a tiny little, like a bedpost, on four stilts in the middle of the field, and he sat there quietly and waited. Tried not to fall asleep, but after some time, his eyes started closing, and he was almost asleep when a sound woke him up, and he immediately sat up. It was pitch dark. There was no one around the field. It was everyone in the village was asleep. And when he looked around, at first he didn't see anything, and then he noticed something hovering in the sky. And he looked up to find this beautiful silver cloud that seemed to be descending from the sky. He hadn't seen anything like that, so he lay low without moving and he watched. He saw that this beautiful silvery cloud, which got brighter and brighter as it came right down to the field. And when it literally touched the ground, there was this beautiful elephant, pure white, decked, you could say bedecked in jewelry. It stepped out very gracefully and walking up to a corner of the field while the cloud waited, it started feasting on the turnips. Now he couldn't believe his eyes. The farmer couldn't believe what he was seeing because he knew who this elephant was. It could only be the celestial elephant that came down from the heavens, and it was the rain god Lord Indra's, mount. He says, "My God, it is an honor to my field." And he watched the elephant feasting, and after it ate a few turnips to its heart's content, it gracefully went back to its cloud, and the cloud went back to the heavens. Now he couldn't believe what he saw. The farmer couldn't believe what he saw, and he was in a haze. And he went back home. And when he went back home, he told his wife, that this is what happened. So she didn't believe him at first, and she said, "Come on, you're just pulling a fast one. You fell asleep, and somebody stole the turnips." He says, "No, I'm telling you, this is what happened." And the next night, it happened again. Now, when he came back and said the same story to his wife, she realized that he was telling the truth. And so she told him, when they talked about, she said, "If this elephant is coming from the heavens, shouldn't you try to go there once yourself and have a glimpse at heaven?" And at first, the farmer was indignant. "What are you saying, woman? What are you trying to tell me here?" And then she said, "No, no, think about it." So he thought about it. The next night, he waited for the elephant to come. And when the elephant came down, he slowly crept up to this huge animal and held on to its tail. Okay, so the elephant finished feasting and, as usual, went back to the cloud. Of course, the elephant didn't feel this ant of a man hanging onto his tail. And the cloud started going up with the farmer holding onto the tail, and farmer was breathless with excitement, and he looked all around, and when he went into the, very, very misty, cold sky. And soon they reached heaven, the heavenly abode of Lord Indra. And when he got off, he just slipped off, he let go of the elephant's tail. And he looked around him. He couldn't believe his eyes. The streets were paved with gold, and the buildings were made of silver, studded with all kinds of gems, and everything was so beautiful. There was milk and fresh juices flowing in the, little fountains where he could just drink whatever he wanted. And everything was so beautiful. He kept walking around admiring the sights. Of course, the sights were so many that he couldn't quite know. He didn't. Wasn't able to enjoy all of them, but he looked and tried to enjoy as much as he could. And finally, his nostrils were assailed with this lovely smell. It was such a delicious smell that he automatically followed the smell, and he reached the heavenly kitchens. When he reached the kitchens, he saw that, of course, the place was filled with these beautiful basins made of gold, which were full of all kinds of delicacies, sweets and savories and all kinds of things. But what caught his attention, the smell that had brought him there, literally seduced him and brought him there, was this huge golden cauldron right in the middle of the kitchen. It was a very large kitchen, and when he went closer, he saw that it was halwa. Now, halwa is this Indian sweet which is absolutely delicious. and this one was made in such a way that he could see the ghee floating on the top with all those dried fruits, and it had that creamy texture, and there was this huge spoon and bowls available, and there was nobody to ask. So he helped himself to some, and he ate and he ate and he ate till he couldn't move anymore, and yet the taste was so delicious he just couldn't forget it. But then he realized he spent the whole day in heavens, and he had to get back, right? Because his ride was the elephant. So he rushed back to where he had got off, and sure enough, he saw that the elephant was getting ready to go back down, and he quickly held on to the elephant's tail and he went down. Now, after he went down and the elephant had eaten his turnips as usual and had left, the farmer was in a daze. He walked home and his wife wondered what happened to him. She was worried actually when she saw him with his beatific smile, he was lost to the world. And then he described the halwa to her. And he said, "Oh my God, I can't get over the taste." And his wife was obviously very quite upset after listening to him. And she said, "How come you got to eat and did you get anything for me?" So he said, "Come on, woman, I was holding on to an elephant's tail. I ate. Isn't that good enough? I'm describing it to you." But she was very upset with him. She sulked the whole day. But the farmer couldn't go to work. He went and sat outside. He went and sat down and watched the people go to work. And the other farmers came and asked him, "How come you're not going to the field? You usually guard your turnips." And he says, "No, it's nothing." And his wife had warned him, "Don't talk about this." But then he couldn't help it. It slipped out of his mouth. And he said, "This is what happened." And they at first didn't believe. They said, "Come on, what are you saying? You actually went up all the way to heaven?" He said, "Yes, I did." Then they all came around and sat and begged him, "Please, you've been there, you've eaten, let us also go once. We are poor people, we don't have a chance at such a luxury. Let's come with you." He said, "But how will I take you? I hung on to his tail. We'll hang on to you. We'll come. Please do something." But now when the men went back and the farmer agreed to take them, the men went back and told their wives. The wives got smart this time. They said, "No, if you're going, we let you go, but you get back halwa for us." So they said, "But how are we supposed to do it?" They said, "We'll give you bags, fill, because you can take as much as you want. We want to have that. It's not fair that we have all the work of looking after the children and your home and you are enjoying halwa." Okay. So then the women sat during the day and stitched big bags, they stitched and got them ready. And by nightfall, all the men were ready with bags slung around their waist, and they all went to the field. And they all waited quietly. And the farmer said, "You're not to make any sound, don't frighten the creature away, the elephant away." And when they waited there, so sure enough, the elephant came, and when it was almost done with eating, the farmer quietly went and caught hold of his tail, and another farmer caught him by his waist, and it went on. There was a long chain of people waiting quietly. Sure enough, the celestial cloud started going up into the sky, and so did this entire tail, literally a tail of farmers hanging below. And they went up for some time. Now, when they kept going up, the one at the end, the last farmer was getting impatient. He was the last one. So he told the farmer before him, "Just find out how much more time do we have to hang on like this. My hands are hurting." And he was a little on the weighty side. He was finding it a little bit of a strain. So the man passed on the message, and soon it reached the farmer right at the who was holding the tail, no? Our hero. And he said, "I don't know, it'll take so much of time." That message went back again. Again, there were other messages, and they were annoying this farmer. He said, "Please stop asking so many questions, because it takes a long time to reach, and half the time the message is not clear." Finally, he said, "Okay, one last question. Just ask him, how much of halwa was there? I can't bear. The thought is killing me, waiting for it." So when it went up, the farmer gave up and said, "My God, how many questions will this man ask? There's so much." And he put his hands out. There's so much, amount that you can eat. And what do you think happened? He let go of the tail, and the entire rope
Trail.
of farmers came crashing down into the field, and they lay there so disappointed and upset. The elephant disappeared, and as the story would have it, it never appeared again in the field. It must have figured out there's something fishy happening in the back. And that's the story of the farmer and his turnips. So that's a
Yeah.
tale for you. I hope you enjoyed these stories. Yeah.
Yes.
And we'll be back with more. Do give us your feedback, your suggestions. Yes, Deepti?
Yeah. Waiting for that. Until we see next time, it's bye bye from Sugar and
Spice.
see you
Love
all.
you.
Bye bye.